The promise of a new day dawning. Everything is new. There are good things to be done, and there are people to be loved. There's a whole world to be explored. And here in my patch, we've got a Grevillea garden to explore. So I've recently been putting a lot of mulch on this garden. This has been slashed, leaves it in very large pieces, very long pieces, as opposed to using a ride-on mower, which chops it rather small. It can be a lot lighter when it goes on the garden, so it's not really heavy and dense like grass clippings when they're freshly cut. And so it still lets oxygen underneath. Hopefully it does an equivalent job of keeping the weeds down. I have been chipping this area, chopping out the weeds before I put the mulch down, and so far the plants that are in still looking okay. Over here we have beadleana. It already had some browning of the leaves, so I'm hoping that will go. I'm very aware that Grevilleas can be finicky to grow. They need particular conditions, and if I don't give them particular conditions, I could lose them. Grevillea Raptor is a ground cover. It's looking lovely, and I think that is the red of new leaves. How fantastic. Grevillea Robusta, Silky Oak. I transplanted it here from elsewhere on the property. The leaves have finally browned off. I don't know whether that means it's dead or whether it's browning off for the season. Maybe it'll come back in spring. I don't know. I hope so. I intend to graft Grevillea fanfare on top of that, but we got to get the rootstock growing and healthy first before we can do that. Soopa Doopa has a flower on it, and look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Just stunning. This is blood orange. I saw a mature specimen of blood orange the other day, and it is beautiful. I'm so excited. The flower had such vibrant colours in it, and it was just lovely. And in contrast, the leaf was actually quite blue. I have an invitation from that garden owner to go and walk through his garden, so that's very exciting. So you can see I haven't cleared the grass away from these ones. I'm doing a bit of the mornings, otherwise I'd have to spend weeks here chipping and I wouldn't get anything else done. But my garden is expanding, so I have 12 Grevilleas in the garden. I have another 8 waiting to go in, and I think I've got another 6 that have just repotted that can't go in yet. Some of them are going to go over there where the piles of dirt are. In the meantime, they'll mature and grow stronger in their pots. And good morning, world. Yesterday I planted some kangaroo paw in the midst of my Grevillea garden. Some kangaroo paw I got at the garden show last year. This one is Bush Fury, and you can see it has a red flower on it. I managed to cut it in half, so we have 2 plants in my garden. I had always planned to have some kangaroo paw amongst the Grevilleas, so I'm excited to have these first 2 in. When I planted Grevillea Raptor, it was a tube stock with a stem on it that was maybe 20 centimetres long. And then it put out one great big long stem, and it just kept growing the one stem for quite a long time. In order to encourage it to branch, I've just snipped, just with my fingers, just snipped off the tip of all these growing tips. Oh, there's one I missed. Just with my fingernail. Just snip it like that, and it's a nice clean cut. That will encourage it to branch all along the stem. Grevillea Raptor makes a ground cover about 2 metres round, and just pruning off the tips will encourage it to spread and encourage it to grow rather thick. The Scarlet sprite is doing beautifully. Lots of lovely little flowers under here. It's interesting that a lot of them are down low. Ah, that's interesting. All the flowers on this branch come off the side of the branch, and it looks like there's some more coming on the tips here. It's interesting to take note of how different plants flower. This is Firecracker. I notice again its flowers are mainly in the centre of the plant, mainly on the sides of the branches. That's interesting because Scarlet sprite's like that, Firecracker's like that, and Liliane is also like that. The flowers are appearing along the stem on the little branchlets that come out. In contrast, this is Soopa Doopa, and you can see its flowers are primarily at the end of the stem, but also along the branchlets that come out, but it's not so much along the stem in the centre of the plant. It's more on the tips of the branches. And that's interesting. I noticed a different leaf here, the very deeply lobed Soopa Doopa. I'm wondering if the habit of growing flowers closer along the stem, close impact, is somehow related to the genetics that also causes the long thin leaves of a grevillea. Because that's 1, 2, 3 with that kind of leaf pattern, and they're closer to the center of the plant. Okay, Apricot Tingle also has flowers along the stem. Yes, there's some at the tip as well, but there are flowers along the stem a lot more than we saw in Soopa Doopa. I'm curious to do some research and to find out if that is typical of that rosemary-shaped leaf, rosmarinifolia. Thanks for watching.